Hi everybody, it's Nancy McNally, NancyMcNallyQuilts.com. Yes, you see my overhead camera right here. I've already got it set up, so just let it stay here. Otherwise I have to unclamp it, move it, go find a location for it, come back, and then I have to set it up again. So I'm just leaving it here for right now. All right, so today's video, and by the way, it's been 2 weeks, I think, close to 2 weeks since I posted a single quilt blog video. I've been traveling, I've been long arm quilting, and you know, it's life. And when you get back from traveling, there's always the recoup time. You got to make up for what you didn't do, and lots of things went on. So I am back now. So today's single quilt block video is Jack in the Box. What a funny name for a quilt block. All right, I'm using the same colored fabrics that I have been using. And well, you can't see them, but they're right here. So what you're going to need to do is go to the website, and the link is below in the description box to go download your free pattern. Now this one's only going to be free till Monday, October. Let me find the date because I've already forgotten the date. All right, Monday, October 14th, all right? And on October 14th, it will no longer be free. So go grab your PDF today. And as usual, in your PDF, you're going to get step-by-step instructions, and you're going to get the coloring page, all right? That way you can play around with it and figure out what colors you want to use. This is not easy working around this thing. I don't know what else to do, to be honest. So maybe I can figure out how to move it over. All right, so go get your pattern, download, print it off, and get your fabrics cut if you want to sew along with me. But there's a bonus at the end. So I'm going to show you how to do 4 at a time half square triangles, and you will need, and of course it's not over here, it's sitting over there and I'll have to go grab it. You'll need spray starch for this method. It is bias half square triangles, but the method is easy because you get 4 half square triangles at once. So that method is not in the pattern. I did the 2 at a time because you only have to make 2 of each of the blue and the green colors. But the red you have to make 4. So instead of showing you how to do the 2 at a time method, which I will talk through quickly, if that's possible, and then I will demo the 4 at a time method also. All right? Okay, I'm going to get set up. I need to bring my tablet and put it right here and get everything organized because you can't see it, but it's a hot mess. All right, see you back here in a moment. All right, so what we're going to need for our first step in our pattern, but you know what, before we do that, let's go over our labels. All right, so here you'll see I have the flying geese and I have the different feet that you can use because we're going to learn, or we're going to work on the stitch and flip method to make our flying geese. Now, so I have the 2 different feet here. I have an open toe foot, and I have like your basic standard foot with that clear section right there so that you can see the drawn line, because you're going to have to stitch on that drawn line. So these are your A fabrics, and these are for the flying geese, your stitch and flip. And then all of your rectangles, if I can get this fabric to move, your rectangles to make the actual larger triangle of the flying geese are your B's. So this is B, these are B's, and you can see I've already made them. And then next we have our E's, our half square triangles. And yes, I've already made these using the traditional 2 at a time method. Over here I have the 4 at a time method, and I will show you that in just a little bit. And here we have our yellow B's and our 1. You can use coral, whatever color you want for that very center square letter C. All right, so our first step is we are going to make our flying geese. And we're going to use the stitch and flip method. So if you have your pattern with you, go ahead and turn to page 2. All right, now on the pattern, you will see that I have used orange pressing arrows. And also, just to let you know, I did note that on the bottom of the pattern that some of the arrows are in orange rather than black because you can't see the black arrows on dark fabric colors. All right, so we're going to begin with the stitch and flip method. So the first thing you're going to have to do is, is draw a line from corner to corner, the diagonal, on your A squares. Now you're going to have 8 A squares, so draw a diagonal line on each of those. All right, let's get started on our stitch and flip method. So first thing I'm going to do after I draw my diagonal line is I'm going to choose a foot to use, either the open toe or, for my machine, it's the J foot. It's just your standard foot, all right? One that you can see and that has a middle line marked on it right there so that you can line up the diagonal line with that center marking. I'm going to use this one, the open toe foot. Either one works perfect. Let me get that attached to my machine. There we go. I'm also stitching with a 2.0 stitch length. So we're going to take our first rectangle and we're going to place our A square right side together, and you want the diagonal line running from the top center to the bottom left. Now that's if you're doing the left hand side first. That's just the way I have it. If you choose to do the right, this side over here first of the rectangle, please rotate so that diagonal line starts at the center and comes to the bottom right. But it's just me. It doesn't matter which side you start on, the end result is the same. Okay, so now when I place this under my foot of my sewing machine, I am not going to start down here sewing. I'm going to start in the middle so that when I place this under the feed dogs and not under the feed dogs, that's funny, under the sewing machine foot, the feed dogs have fabric to grab and start pulling it through evenly so I don't get a hot mess. All right, let's get this one sewn. So once you sew on this line or right beside the line, we're going to fold this back, and this square, which now becomes a triangle, it needs to, these same edges, the edges of the triangle need to align with the edges of your background rectangle. They have to, otherwise it won't be the same size. All right, let me get this one sewn. I did sew directly beside the line so you can see what I'm talking about. So you can see that the line is still there and exposed and the stitches are not directly on top of it. That's what I mean when I say sew beside the line. So we're going to flip this in place and you want to pull it. I have to put it down on the table so I can fold it. Just finger press it and double check that the edge of the new triangle, which was a square, now lines up directly with the rectangle. If it goes a little past, that's okay. I'm trying to hold it here so you can see. There's some little fibers, but that again might just be the way I'm holding it. So as long as it lines up perfectly, you are good. If it doesn't line up, open this up and only trim this piece of the triangle. You can leave all this, you can leave the background piece and this, and just trim off that. Now if you're going to do it that way, you're going to open it up so that only that piece right there is exposed to the rotary cutter. You're going to line your 1/4 inch line from your ruler up. You can do this with scissors if you're more comfortable with it. And you're going to trim that off. Ah, it didn't close. There it goes. So see, I only have one triangle in my hand. Now let's open that up. See how that looks? And now we'll flip it in place and we'll press. And so now I still have this as the background. I did not do any of these that way. This was just to show you what I'm trying to explain. Okay, now we're going to press this in place and then we're going to sew this one. So you have to press this one in place before you do the next one, the other side. So now this one, the diagonal runs from the center down to the top right, and repeat the same process of sewing checking to make sure it lines up correctly, and then trim. All right, let me get mine sewn and we'll meet back here and we'll move on to the next step. All right, I finished my flying geese. So you're gonna need 2 blue and 2 green ones. I'm gonna move my marker out of the way for the moment. All right, so our next step is making the half square triangles. Now I'm gonna talk you through this one. It's very, very easy. So what you're gonna do is you're going to take your cream squares and your blue number 2 and green number 2 squares. You're going to draw a diagonal line, one diagonal line from corner to corner. You're on the cream colored fabric. You're going to match your cream colored fabric, each of the cream colors. You're going to match each one to a blue number 2, one to another blue number 2, and then also to the I said that twice, to the green number 2's squares. You're going to stitch a 1/4 inch on either side of that drawn line, and if you need to see a video on this, I have gone over it each and every time with the other single quilt blocks in the series. So you can always go back and watch the tutorial there. This part is very easy. It's making 2 at a time. So you're going to make 2 blue number 2 half square triangles, 2 green number 2 half square triangles, and you're going to need to make 4 red ones. Now, the next step is we're going to bring the corners together, but I'm going to pause here and go to the last page of your pattern. Not the coloring page, but the last page of the pattern. We're going to talk about 4 at a time half square triangles. And yes, these are the bias half square triangles. So there is a formula. So in your pattern, you've got this page to pull out and keep for other patterns if you like this method. All right, so what you're going to do is in any pattern you want to do this in, this method, you're going to have your little calculator with you from your phone, or however you use, if you have a separate calculator, it doesn't matter, just grab a calculator. So you're going to find the unfinished size of the half square triangle that you're going to need to make. So in order to use this page, you are going to need to find, and use this page in other patterns, you will need to find the unfinished size of the half square triangle. And in this case, it's 3 inches. If it's 2.5, then you use the number 2.5. So you're going to take that number and you're going to divide it by 0.64. So you can put a 0 in front of it, 0.64. So when you do that in your calculator, it comes out as 4.6875. Now, the next step is to add a 1/4 inch or go up a 1/4 inch, which that math is like, what the heck is that? I know a lot of you, your eyes just glazed over and you're like, what? So a 1/4 inch is 0.25. So if you need to add, let me grab my phone and I'll do that for you. I'm going to punch that number in. So hold on. Let me grab my calculator, pull it up. Okay, so we have the number 0.46875. There we go. Plus 0.25. Okay. Do you see that equals 4.93? Go ahead and cut a 5-inch square at this point in time, because that's almost 5 inches. So the other number, the 4.6875, that's right at 4 3/4, I believe. So I haven't done that decimal work in a long time, but I think that's close to it's like 4 5/8. And so you want to up it so you have some wiggle room. So I would suggest you go up to a 5-inch square for this particular math problem for our block. Okay, now here's another tip, so pay close attention to this. I'm going to show you what I did. All of these half square triangles right here, and this is the ones I tested it on, I took a layer cake square, a 10-inch square, sprayed it with spray starch, put the iron to it, dried the spray starch, and then I cut the square at 4 3/4 and 4 3/4. So I got 4 of them out of that, one of them, and that was this blue one right here. So this one in particular does not have everything cut off. because what happened was, because it's a 10-inch square, it shrank. And generally they only shrink on one side. And so everything was just a little too tight for me. And this one is actually won't even equal 3 inches. That's how much it shrank. So on this one, I did the same thing. And this time, instead of cutting a 4 3/4, I cut a 5-inch square. And they come out much, much nicer and easier so that you can trim them down. So I'm going to show you that method here. Let me move my papers. All right, so once you get the math, you can draw the diagonal line, or you don't have to draw the diagonal line because you're not sewing on the diagonal line. That is cutting. All right, so just remember that. So now you've seen this method before, I'm sure. So I've got this one right here. Let's see what color's fabric is. I don't remember. Is this a blue one? Is this another blue one? Yeah, this is another blue one. There we go. All right, so now we're going to stitch a 1/4 inch around all 4 sides, a 1/4 inch away from the edge. Now, when I was doing this and I would get to the edge, I would kind of pull it out so I got a tail of thread still attached. I didn't cut the thread, and then I would take and turn it and put it back in. And sometimes my machine didn't like that, so I've decided to cut the thread each time. So cut the thread, so cut the thread, so you get it. All right, let me get this one done, and then I will show you the end result. This method is not listed in the supply list. So let me go show you that. Just to remind you, here's the supply list. Look right here. It says bonus method for making the red and cream half square triangles listed at the end of the pattern. Read before cutting fabrics. So before you do that, don't do this. Go look at the end and see, and maybe you decide through this video if you like this method. If not, not a problem. So when you're using pre-cuts and you spray starch them, it shrinks them. It shrinks them. And one of the 10-inch squares shrank a 1/4 inch on one side. And so needing that full 10 inches to do 5-inch squares so I could use 4 of them just as a demonstration purpose, I was a little taken back that it shrank that much. But you only need 1 5-inch square of your color and of your background. All right, let me get this one sewn. All right, so here we go. I've sewn off, you know what, I'll do this. All 4 sides have been sewn a 1/4 inch in. And I cut the thread at each corner. You don't have to. See what your machine prefers that you do. The next step is we're going to cut this in half. Oh, and I don't have my bigger ruler with me. That's all right. We'll use this one. Now we're going to cut it in half on both diagonals. And that's it. And the next step, once you do this, you're going to press them and then you're going to trim each to size. Now again, because I've spray starched these will not be wonky. They will not be wavy. So you will be able to press them. And see, you pull them apart. And there you go. And now all you need to do is trim the 4. It is faster to do this method, and I think that's why other people use this method, but they don't realize that they're biased. But also, again, I'll say it again, if you're using pre-cuts and you need that precise cut of that pre-cut and you spray starch it, the fabric does shrink. All right, it is time to move on. Let's get to the next step, which is pretty easy. We're going to do block assembly now. All right, let me get set up for that. All right, we are back to page 2. So at the bottom of page 2, we're going to start making the corners. And don't be surprised if Mr. Bruce Kitty jumps up on the table because he has been very needy lately and has wanted to be right up underneath me, literally. So, all right, we're going to need our blue half square triangles, our green, and our red. So you should have 2 blues, 2 greens, and 4 reds. So now there is a fabric placement order. We're going to start with the blue. Put this one up here. You're going to place the blue, this way, facing that way, and then the red this way. Okay, and then you're going to join them. So you're going to go right sides together and join them. And your seam allowances should nest. All right, you're going to do the same thing with the green, with the green half square triangle. You need to press the seam allowance open. I'm going to do it with my fingers. There we go. Oops, that one didn't press, that one came back. There we go. Let's press that open. They'll lay nice and flat. And then you're going to grab, so the blue gets the blue flying geese, just like that. Oh, I really like that. I love this fabric. All right, here's the green one. You're going to place it in the same position that you did the blue one. Here's the red. Don't do it like I just have it, okay? Go like that. And then you're going to go right sides together, and you're going to join them. Okay, again, I'm going to finger press. Use my fingernail. There we go. And then, oh, here they are. They're underneath here. And there's the green. So you're going to make 2 of the blues and 2 of the green. Don't forget to press that seam allowance open. And you also have to press when you join the flying geese to the half square triangle unit. You also need to press that seam allowance open. All right, I'm going to finish these up, and we're going to come back and we're going to lay the block out. All right, as you can see, I've laid the units out to make up the block. Notice how blues are across from each other, greens are across from each other. The red half square triangles are pointing in towards the middle. The flying geese are going away from the center. So this is how you're going to lay it out. Very easy. Everything, the corners are the same height as the yellow strips or rectangles. Now it's time to put it together. And as usual, just like I've done all the other ones, I will go right sides together. I will take the middle and join to this one to this one, this one to this one, and then I'll come back and I'll join this one to the top row, here and here. And then we'll join the 2 seams down here in the middle, and voila, the block will be done. All right, let me get mine pieced, and then we'll be back, or I'll be back. Yes, you were seeing Bruce on camera. He decided to jump up here while I was joining or sewing the block units together. He just, no, do not eat that. He just wants so much attention. And don't show him your butt, Bruce, okay? Don't show him your butt. Thank you, buddy. You got the zoomies. Go look out the door. All right, I need to get back to sewing. And he's off. So I got Bruce off the table, but now he's looking at me again like, I'm coming up. All right, so now you can see I've got the rows sewn together, or I've created each row. Now it's time to join the rows together. So what we're going to do is we're going to go row 1 to the center, and we're going to align these centers. Always align your seams first before aligning your outer edges. I promise you, this is the right way to do this. So I'm going to place a pin in that one. I'm going to place a pin in this one. If I can get them to cooperate. There we go. All right, now I'm going to work my way out here. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to line these up right here. There's no seam to line up here, so I'm going to go ahead and line up this corner. Oops, I pulled it too far. There we go. And then I'm going to lay it down here. Now, I'm going to I'm going to place a pin right here. That way, when I'm sewing it, the presser foot won't flip this seam right here. And this is flat on this side, so it's okay. Now, if you feel like there's like too much fabric underneath, as in maybe one piece is too larger, allow the feed dogs to work it all in, because that's what the feed dogs will do. All right, so let's get this one joined. And again, oh, there's a pin. I'm going to place a pin in the seam allowance that is going towards my sewing foot. All right, so here we go. Now, I'm going to get this one joined, and then I'm going to go ahead and do this one too. All right, we are finished with Jack in the Box block. I love this. I love the colors. I love the movement in this. I hope you have enjoyed this tutorial of the single quilt block series, Jack in the Box. I love this block. I just love the colors. I hope you have a wonderful day, and don't forget you can subscribe to my newsletter at nancymcnallyquilts.com. The information is below in the description box. And please, if you like my video tutorials, please subscribe. I am trying to reach a certain goal because I just want to share. I want to share, share, share. All right, so tell your friends about us. Tell them what we're doing. And don't forget about the pumpkin spice quilt along in November of 2024. So if you're watching this video after that time, you can still find the pattern on my website, but the pattern is not available yet. Today is October 10th of 2024. The full pattern will not be available until after November 24th, but you'll have to read the blog to get more information. So don't forget to subscribe through my website. All right, everybody, again, have a wonderful day. Happy quilting. It feels so good to be back. I missed you guys. All right, talk to you later. Bye.